January 2015. It was an ordinary winter morning on the calendar, but the atmosphere at the Amazon warehouse in Springfield, Illinois, was anything but calm. Workers were wrapping up their night shift when a sudden scream echoed from a distant corner of the facility. Jason Buckley, one of the employees, stumbled upon something that would forever alter the lives of everyone there. Lying on the floor, amidst boxes and shelves, was Allison Morris, a 28-year-old employee known for her kindness and professionalism. Everyone who knew her was stunned, unable to grasp what had happened. The police quickly arrived to begin their investigation. The warehouse was sealed off for inspection. It was clear that a serious incident had occurred, requiring immediate attention. Detective Jonathan Hart, leading the investigation, knew at first glance that this would be a challenging case. Allison's life had recently been fraught with tension. Rumors among colleagues hinted at a relationship between her and the warehouse manager, Robert Mills. Robert, a married man, had tried to keep his personal life private, but the gossip persisted. His wife, Sarah, had made several visits to the warehouse, creating a tense atmosphere among the staff. This dynamic suggested potential issues in their marriage. The police conducted a thorough examination of the scene, beginning with surveillance footage. One clip captured a car resembling Sarah's parked near the warehouse that night. This discovery added to the complexity of Allison's personal relationships. The warehouse staff, in shock, speculated about who might have been involved in the incident. Some believed it stemmed from jealousy. Others proposed more intricate theories. The team was on edge, anxiously awaiting updates from the police. This horrifying discovery marked the starting point of a case filled with intricate details and unexpected twists. The sense of unease and tension was just the beginning of a long journey to unravel a chilling mystery. The police launched the investigation immediately. The warehouse remained sealed off to prevent evidence from being compromised. Detective Jonathan Hart, a man with an impeccable reputation, understood that solving this case would require swift yet meticulous action. He began by assembling a team of investigators to analyze the surveillance footage. The first critical piece of evidence they noticed was a car captured on the footage near the warehouse on the night of the incident. The vehicle closely resembled the one driven by Sarah Mills, the wife of warehouse manager Robert. This raised suspicions, as Sarah had previously shown up at the warehouse unexpectedly, causing tension among the staff. The investigators then interviewed Allison's co-workers, uncovering further details. One colleague recalled that Allison had recently appeared anxious. She had even confided in someone about receiving strange, accusatory messages. These circumstances suggested that her personal life might hold the key to understanding the motive. Robert Mills, the warehouse manager, became a primary focus for the investigators. Despite his denial of any involvement, his rumored relationship with Allison was well known among the staff. When questioned, Robert admitted to knowing Allison outside of work, but insisted their interactions were strictly professional. Sarah, however, had a different perspective. Her jealousy and suspicions were no secret. In Allison's phone, the police found threatening messages, which they suspected were sent by Sarah. This complicated the case further, as the police now had to determine whether these threats were serious enough to escalate into something more. The question remained, was this an emotional outburst fueled by tension, or had someone deliberately taken advantage of the situation to commit a crime? Detective Hart ordered a comprehensive analysis of the items found at the scene. Samples collected at the warehouse were sent for forensic examination. Meanwhile, the team continued to scrutinize the surveillance footage, piecing together the events of that night. As the tension grew, and with suspects already in sight, the true story remained shrouded in mystery. Everyone sensed that this was just the beginning of a complex and tangled investigation, one that would undoubtedly lead to an unexpected conclusion. Allison Morris was a typical Springfield resident, always striving to move forward despite life's challenges. Her life had never been easy. Following her divorce, she lived alone in a small apartment, trying to rebuild her future. She had worked at the Amazon warehouse for 4 years, fulfilling her duties with diligence and enthusiasm. Her colleagues admired her for her energy and ability to keep any conversation lively. But behind the smile she offered those around her lay fatigue and loneliness. She often worked long hours, sometimes even overtime, to pay off debts that had accumulated after her divorce. Allison dreamed of stability, a peaceful life where she didn't have to count every dollar. When she met Robert Mills, the warehouse manager, she felt a glimmer of hope. Their relationship began with casual conversations that eventually developed into something deeper. Allison truly believed this could be her chance at happiness. Robert, older and self-assured, had qualities that she found attractive. However, their romance quickly brought more problems than joy. For one, Robert was married, and Allison knew their relationship couldn't remain a secret forever. Their co-workers began noticing their behavior, sparking rumors. To complicate matters, Robert's wife Sarah learned about the relationship and started taking action. She sent Allison accusatory messages, blaming her for ruining their family. Allison wanted to end the relationship, but Robert reassured her that everything would work out. She clung to the hope that he would eventually resolve the situation. However, the longer their relationship continued, the greater the tension grew. Allison felt trapped, torn between her fear of the consequences and her longing for happiness. Her behavior began to change. Her colleagues noticed she had become quieter, often appearing lost in thought. She didn't share her struggles with anyone, though she occasionally hinted at the difficulties she was facing. The situation grew increasingly complicated. Allison realized that her choices had brought her more pain than joy, yet she couldn't see a way out. Her life had become a constant battle between what she wanted and the harsh reality that kept getting in her way. January 16, 2015 marked a pivotal day in the investigation. Allison and Robert stayed behind at the warehouse after their shift to discuss the problems in their relationship. Witnesses recalled that they had been arguing frequently, and this conversation was no exception. The tension between them had reached its peak, and their heated exchange was noticeable even to colleagues working on paperwork nearby. However, this time the argument ended unexpectedly. Surveillance footage captured Allison, visibly upset, leaving the office area and heading toward the exit. She glanced back briefly before disappearing from the camera's view. Around the same time, a vehicle resembling Sarah Mills's car drove onto the warehouse premises. Though the license plate wasn't visible, the make and color matched her vehicle. After reviewing the footage, the police realized that this moment was crucial to the investigation. They began piecing together what might have transpired between these three individuals that evening. Of particular interest was whether Sarah's arrival at the warehouse was connected to the conflict between Allison and Robert. Hours later, after the vehicle left the premises, a night shift worker conducting a routine check noticed Allison was missing. Attempts to reach her by phone were unsuccessful, raising concerns as she had never left work without notifying someone. Detective Hart ordered a thorough search of the warehouse and surrounding areas. Investigators examined every detail that could shed light on what had happened during those critical hours. In the process, they uncovered a vital piece of evidence, traces found on the premises that potentially belonged to Sarah. This discovery further implicated her involvement. The tension escalated. Each new finding added layers of mystery. In recent weeks, Allison had confided in a few coworkers that she felt as though someone was watching her, but her concerns hadn't been taken seriously. Now, those fears took on a new significance as suspicions increasingly pointed to the role of jealousy and unresolved conflicts in the case. That night became a turning point that shifted the direction of the investigation. All the evidence suggested that behind this love triangle lay deep emotions and unresolved issues, culminating in devastating consequences. The events of that night unfolded rapidly, leaving more questions than answers. Robert claimed he was at home when Allison left the warehouse, insisting their interaction had been nothing more than a routine work discussion. However, coworkers reported hearing raised voices. Meanwhile, Robert asserted that Sarah had been at home with their children, but surveillance footage showed her car entering the warehouse grounds at 10:30 p.m. While police reviewed the footage, witnesses recalled that Allison had repeatedly complained about feeling like she was being watched. Recently, she had been visibly unsettled, often nervously checking her phone. Her close friend Linda revealed that Allison had wanted to end her relationship with Robert, but was afraid of Sarah's reaction. "I feel like this will end badly," Allison often said. After her argument with Robert, Allison left the office but didn't immediately leave the warehouse. Instead, she lingered in the staff area. Surveillance cameras caught her looking for something on her phone before climbing to the top tier of shelves, where some employees kept personal belongings. At that moment, Sarah entered the warehouse through a service entrance. Her presence in the building lasted only 20 minutes, but those minutes became a focal point of the investigation. Police found traces confirming her presence, footprints and stains leading from the service entrance to the spot where Allison was last seen. When Robert learned that Sarah was under suspicion, he initially denied her involvement, claiming she wasn't capable of such actions. However, evidence painted a different picture. Messages on Sarah's phone revealed deep anxiety and obsession. In one message to a friend, she wrote, "I won't let her destroy my family anymore." For investigators, it became clear that the night had been marked by a confrontation. Yet, what exactly transpired between Allison and Sarah during those 20 minutes remained a mystery. The physical evidence found at the warehouse only deepened the enigma. As the investigation continued, rumors spread throughout the town. The warehouse staff was gripped by fear, with everyone speculating about what could have happened that fateful night. Investigators felt they were close to uncovering the truth, but many unanswered questions remained. The investigation reached a turning point when the police obtained a warrant to search Sarah Mills's home. What they found became a crucial breakthrough in the case. Hidden among her personal belongings in a closet, detectives discovered a small notebook filled with disturbing entries. The first pages contained personal notes, but further in, the tone became increasingly emotional and intense. Allison's name appeared multiple times, accompanied by phrases like "she must go" and "this has to end." These entries confirmed that Sarah was deeply obsessed with the situation and unable to come to terms with her husband's relationship with another woman. Additionally, the police found several photos of Allison, evidently taken without her knowledge. On the back of one photo, someone had scrawled the word "traitor" in red marker. Further evidence surfaced after investigators analyzed Sarah's phone. It contained dozens of threatening messages sent to Allison, many of them aggressive and some hinting at a desire to resolve the problem. The last message was sent just hours before the incident. The most damning evidence was a physical object found at the crime scene, which was confirmed to belong to Sarah. Forensic analysis revealed her fingerprints on it. While this didn't provide a complete picture of what had occurred, it strongly indicated her presence at the scene that night. Robert, determined to defend his wife, insisted that Sarah was incapable of acting irrationally. Yet inconsistencies in his statements raised doubts. Investigators also discovered that he lacked a solid alibi for that evening. Although he claimed to have been at home, there was no evidence to corroborate his story. Meanwhile, the case sparked widespread interest in the community. People debated how personal conflicts could escalate to such an extreme. It seemed emotions had overwhelmed reason. The police knew they had to see the investigation through to its conclusion. The newly uncovered evidence allowed them to construct a clearer timeline of events, but they still needed additional proof to eliminate any lingering doubts. The road ahead remained challenging, as the investigation continued to unravel not only the details of the crime, but also the deeper layers of human drama that led to this tragic event. The trial of Sarah Mills began in July 2016, stirring significant public interest in the Springfield community. The case became a frequent topic in local news and sparked heated debates among residents. Some sympathized with Sarah, viewing her as a victim of betrayal and overwhelming emotions. Others condemned her for losing control, arguing that her actions were unacceptable under any circumstances. The prosecution presented a meticulously crafted case. Prosecutors showed surveillance footage confirming Sarah's presence at the warehouse that night. They presented text messages from Allison's phone, which contained direct threats from Sarah, along with the disturbing items found in her home, a notebook filled with ominous entries and photos of Allison. These pieces of evidence painted a clear picture. Sarah, unable to cope with the situation, acted out of jealousy and a sense of betrayal. During witness testimony, Allison's co-workers described her demeanor in the weeks leading up to the incident. They confirmed that she had seemed distressed and had expressed fear over Sarah's potential reaction. These accounts reinforced the prosecution's argument, illustrating the emotional strain Allison had endured. Sarah's defense team focused on her mental state, arguing that she had been under extreme stress due to family issues. They contended that her emotional instability prevented her from acting rationally. Robert, who was called as a witness, admitted that Sarah had been emotionally drained, but avoided giving a direct answer about his relationship with Allison. After weeks of testimony and deliberation, the jury delivered their verdict. Sarah Mills was found guilty on all charges, including intentional harm that led to severe consequences. The judge sentenced her to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, emphasizing the devastating impact her actions had on multiple lives in the broader community. The verdict elicited mixed reactions. Some felt relieved that justice had been served, while others expressed sympathy for everyone involved. Sarah Mills's case served as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked emotions and the far-reaching consequences of personal conflicts. Though this marked the end of a long legal battle for many involved, it was only the beginning of a new chapter. One filled with reflection and a search for closure. The trial's conclusion left an indelible mark on everyone involved in this tragic saga. Sarah Mills was serving her sentence in prison while her estranged husband Robert disappeared from public life. Following the verdict, he immediately resigned as manager of the Amazon warehouse. Seeking to escape the spotlight, Robert relocated to another city. His career and reputation were in ruins, and former colleagues believed he bore responsibility for the chain of events that ultimately led to the tragedy. The warehouse staff was never the same. Gossip, fear, and the lingering memory of the incident created a stifling atmosphere. Several employees left, unable to cope with the psychological strain. The warehouse, once a place of routine and camaraderie, had become a space fraught with tension and unease. Those who stayed admitted they could no longer work with the same sense of security as before. Allison Morris's family endured their own painful journey. Her parents, devastated by the loss of their only daughter, struggled to find meaning in their lives after the tragedy. Her mother, Margaret, began volunteering at a local organization that supported victims of domestic violence and their families. Her father, Harold, pursued legal action against Robert Mills, holding him partly accountable for the escalation that led to the tragedy. The Springfield community remained deeply affected. The case sparked widespread discussions about mental health, workplace relationships, and the importance of providing support in times of crisis. Schools and colleges in the area began offering lectures on emotional management, while local media aired programs dedicated to conflict resolution and nonviolent problem solving. This story served as a powerful reminder of the importance of support and timely intervention in difficult situations. Those who had known Allison remembered her as a kind and hardworking woman. Her life, tragically cut short, left a lasting impression on everyone she had touched. To honor Allison's memory, a small bench was installed in the park where she loved to spend her free time. Her name became associated not only with tragedy, but also with a vital message about the value of compassion, understanding, and humanity during life's most challenging moments.